So we want to turn your partners into revenue generating machines. It's really, really easy to get a bunch of partners, but to actually make them making you money, that's the hard part. So we're going to talk about that. Recruiting partners is the easiest part. Making them successful, that's the hard part, right? Most companies sign partners and then wonder why they don't produce. They blame the partners. They're not committed. They're not trying. But the reality is they just don't know how to succeed with you. They don't know how to win. And that's because you just did not enable them properly. And, it's not your fault. I mean, most traditional advice is give them a bunch of materials. Okay, cool. But there's a little bit more to it. So I'm going to show you exactly the complete partner enablement system that I've learned at multi-billion-dollar companies. I've done for my clients between the $1 and $10 million range, all actually even ranging for people who've just started out and scaled beyond 1 million. So it can really work at any revenue amount. That's how you take partners from signed agreements to revenue generating machines. Excuse me. And so when we look at the gap itself, we kind of paint a picture. Just show the difference, right? Company A could have recruited 20 implementation partners, signed agreements, gave them access to a partner portal, some PDFs, and said, let us know when you close the deal, right? Three partners had delivered any customer three developers had delivered any customer products. Influence revenue 400K, right? Company B recruited 20 implementation partners, signed agreements, spent 60 days enabling them properly training, certification, and ongoing support. And we'll touch on that later. 15 partners had delivered customer projects, right? That's 5 times as much. Total influence revenue 3.2 million. Same number of partners, 8 times the revenue. The difference is the enablement. And the partners want to do well with you, right? It's just that you're vendor number 8. That's just the reality. And you got to make their life significantly easier to accomplish that certain end goal. So when you work with multiple vendors, they already have existing customers and priorities. And if you don't make it easy, they won't work with you. So it's your job. But that's actually honestly should empower you even more, because that way, okay, now I can actually control what's going on. It's not like a helpless kind of thing. Oh, my partners aren't doing anything. It's more like, okay, what can I do to help them? That's gonna make them almost like it'd be stupid not to make money with us. So, 3 types of enablement: self-serve enablement. You can access trainings or resources on their own. High volume partner programs, less complex products, partners with existing expertise. You see this a lot in the affiliate space. High touch enablement. You provide dedicated support and custom training, best for strategic partners, complex products, partners new to your space. And then hybrid enablement. Most partner programs typically go for this route. Scaling from 10 to 100 plus partners, balancing resources and impact. A combination of both high touch and self serve. So most successful partner programs tend to actually start high touch and build self serve over time. And so, my hair is messy. The partner journey, right? You got to ramp, nurture, and optimize. And so when you go through these 3 stages, each stage needs different type of enablement. So this is kind of the onboarding phase where partners are learning the basics, right? And you can win here, right? Our service, we kind of deliver 90 days, get you 10 plus deals. Obviously, depending if you hit a guarantee, if there's certain metrics that need to be hit, blah blah blah. But basically, you can win in the beginning. It's just that you have to really do this correctly. So the goal is to understand your product, know how to position and sell, complete initial certifications, achieve first customer wins. Right? Sometimes initial certifications might not take as long as you think, depending on the kind of product you have, a SaaS product you have, how technical it is, how technical they need to be. If it's a reseller, they don't really need to be that technical, as long as they can just kind of ship things off. But if it's a system integrator or an implementation partner, it might be a little different. Enablement activities: partners onboard kickoff, product training, sales methodology, certification training, joint customer delivery. And the metrics you want to look at is how long it takes them to get certified. Because that actually is a really good indicator. Are they willing to actually work with us? Time to first customer engagement. Okay, are we how soon are they starting to push things out? Onboarding completion rate, obviously, and partner satisfaction score, because obviously it's an ongoing thing. So most partners drop off during the ramp stage of enablement is kind of weak. And so you need to get them to win very, very quickly. Ideally within 90 days. If shorter, even better, depending on your sales cycle. So partners that are actually delivering, now they need to go deeper. So the goal is to increase deal velocity, handle more complex scenarios, develop specializations, build confidence and capability. And then, when we go to more advanced product training, of course, some people might not all need this, but this is just kind of a broad scope for you if you do. Competitive positioning workshops, which is very, very important, right? Because I'm assuming you are not in a blue ocean. You are going to be with competitors, and sometimes, they might even be with competitors too. And you got to learn how you can displace them internally and externally. Solution architecture sessions, quarterly business reviews, partner community engagement, deals delivered per quarter, average deal size, customer satisfaction scores, certification advancement rates, stuff like that. So once the partners are established, now you're maximizing performance, and it's an ongoing cycle. Like you don't stop stage 1 and 2 because you're consistently onboarding and bringing on more partners, the right partners, of course. Um, but this is typically for those beginning stage partners where they really start to like actually flourish. Uh, Again, you can bring deals in the beginning. However, you want to keep in mind that that's not where you can get the most fruit from your labor. So scale delivery capacity, optimize co-selling motion, drive strategic initiatives, become thought leaders, and then executive alignment sessions, co-innovative workshops, joint strategic planning, partner advisory boards, industry event co-presenting. And when we look at actual metrics, that is there growth? Is the retention rates higher? The thing you actually care about. Um, are there contributions, stuff like that. And so a one size fits all does not work. You need different programs for different stages, right? Like it's going to be very, very dependent. So a very broad certification framework you do is for you ensures partners can actually help customers, creates quality standards, differentiate certified versus non-certified partners, kind of like that tier system, uh, provides objective measurement. And partners validates their expertise, right? They actually know what they're talking about versus say they know what they're talking about. It gives them confidence, provides marketing credibility, creates internal motivation. For customers, signals competency, reduces risk, ensures quality delivery, provides recourse if things go wrong. And so when we look at the three different levels, right? Again, broad sense, but this is how you can kind of structure your thing. Foundation certification, product fundamentals, basic use cases, core features, capabilities, simple customer scenarios. Time investment, 48 hours. Multiple choice exam, 80% required. Valid for 12 months. The recertification is required. Basically, like bare minimum, like can they get this done, right? And like I will be honest with you, I'm sure like if you've ever been in the corporate 9 to 5, these tests, like you can be brainless and kind of do them, right? And so this is kind of like that first funnel of like, okay, they're willing to be brainless and at least do it, right? Because no one's forcing them to do it. This is kind of the first pass. Don't expect your tier 1 partners to necessarily be your biggest heavy hitters. The goal actually is to funnel them to tier 2 based on your incentive structure and your commission structure. So advanced features, complex implementation, solution architecture, integration scenarios, troubleshooting. But obviously it'll cover more advanced stuff, but necessarily once they start getting deliveries, the incentives to go to a tier 2 should be there. So scenario based exams with practical assessment. So this is where like that end, like that role playing. Like, hey, can you describe to me, how this works? You're pairing two different solutions. Like you pair XYZ solution. How can you help me? And you can honestly, you don't have to go on one-on-one calls. You can literally, and I kid you not, especially with AI, you can have them record and submit a recording of how they would answer certain questions, and then from there you take a transcript of that and read that and run it through AI. Say how do they feel about it? Like how do they do? How do they like how will customers receive it? Stuff like that, right? And so when we go to expert enterprise deployments, customer solutions, performance optimization, strat consulting, thought leadership, a little bit more investment. Uh, and so prerequisites, you need obviously the press certification, more customer deliveries to show that, okay, you're willing to work with us, reference checks, portfolio review, technical interview, customer references, um, valid for 24 months, and then you kind of recertify. But the goal here is to like make it seem like, okay, like these are our number one partners. These guys you want to spend the most amount of time with, one-on-one time with, right? And you still spend time with every single stage, but like think of it like a webinar type thing where it's like, hey, like level 1, you have your own separate thing. All the level 1 partners go like with those like quarterly trainings or monthly trainings, right? And they're required to go. Okay, almost like sell them to get to tier 2, right? What are the benefits, the dream outcomes? Obviously, there's education, but there's training, kind of like you do with a customer. Same thing with tier 2, and with tier 3 used to be one-on-one. But how do you convince them to stay, and how do you convince them to actually bump it up? You know what I mean? So make it meaningful, right? Certification should represent real competency, not just completion, which I told you about. And Corp 9 to 5 is very, very common. Watch three videos, get certified. Good is complete training, pass exam, deliver a customer project, right? And of course, variable, but mindset should be applicable here. Uh, Make accessible certification should be achievable, require effort. 40-hour certification program, no one's going to do that. You got to make sure it's actually accomplishable. Good is a modular approach, 48 hours for foundational level. That makes it valid for a year, and they can break it up, right? But there should be incentivization to kind of bang things out. Personally, keep it current. Certification should reflect your current product, not last year's version. Require recertification every 12 to 24 months. And so one key thing here is that like obviously like they might have one person do it, they might even have the intern do it. I don't know. I'm just thinking about ideas out loud right now, like where it's like, okay, like they might have one person kind of bang it out. You don't want to have every single employee do it, but what you do want to do is when they have that, it's like, okay, all your salespeople need to be on this call, right? Like they're not almost be like, hey, I don't want you selling our product unless they're on this call, because then where they teach them and they constantly give material like, okay, how can you sell it aligned with your solutions, right? And you can create custom GPTs for it too, right? They say, hey, enter XYZ about your business. What services do you offer? What is the customer GPT? What does that customer journey look like? How can you combine and work with them together? So, first before make it valuable, certification should unlock benefits for partners, higher commission rates, priority referrals, marketing support, executive access, event speaking opportunities, basically just status, right? Like feeling very, very important. And so when we look at the curriculum, right, very high level, what you need to teach partners is what problems does it solve for. Fundamentally, if like you can play this for later, but ideally if you put this at first, right, like what problem does it solve, right? Because then they get hooked. What are they doing with this? Why are they? They're not just pushing a product to push a product. They're pushing a product to solve a problem. Who is it for? Hopefully the same customer. How does it work? And what makes it different, right? And when I say how does it work, you don't have to go super technical with it either. You could be very high level or you know enough to be dangerous. Key features, core capabilities with demos. I think visual demos are very, very important. Advanced features, integration points, limitations, constraints. Obviously, it's very, very, like I mentioned. But use cases, common scenarios, industry-specific applications, role-specific workflows, success stories. And you should give these deliverables to them, like success stories. Like, hey, here's how you can use this success story to win over a different customer, right? Like, literally give them the materials of like enable. It's just, sorry, I get really passionate about it, but I won't get too out of myself. Ideal customer profile, you know, company size, type, industry served, buyer personas, budget ranges, customer journey, look at what awareness stage needs, right? And so it's going to be very difficult to actually teach people the different awareness stages because they're not necessarily your salespeople. But what you can do is almost break it down fundamentally to okay, they're at the awareness stage, they're at the consideration stage, they're at the decision stage, they're at the purchase stage. Okay, at what points, what talking points do you use, and make it so simple that it's because of this trigger word or this trigger action, um, use this script or use this line, right? And so they're not gonna be 100% perfect on selling your product, and I want that to be very, very clear. However, you can get close to good, close to perfect, and you can if you really create SOPs, aka standard operating procedures, aka basic fundamental basic rules for them to follow to get a certain behavior done based on a certain action input. You can get that accomplished. So when you look at the evaluation criteria, decision process, implementation requirements, what does that success look like, right? Onboarding best practices, adoption strategies, expansion opportunities, common challenges. So two prongs here where it's okay. How can we get the customer their first win, right? Depending on the type of partner they have, but typically, how can we get the customer to get their first win? And then two, how can we grow our businesses together, right? Like if they're on the basic version of your SaaS software and they sell services, but there's an upsell to their services. Okay, how can we upsell their services? Oh, if you upsell your services here, you'll actually get more capabilities with here. Like you can almost package things together. So that's where you can get very, very creative with the type of partnerships you have. And I don't really recommend it until you're like a tier 3 type of partner. Because it can get pretty messy pretty fast. But that kind of thinking, I hope it resonates. And so the sales methodology, like I mentioned, the value prop, right? Like what are they going to get out of it? Value, like what are they going to get out of it? Competitive differentiation, how they different, key messaging, objection handling, qualification criteria, questions to actually discover it, right? Like one of the biggest things is you do not pitch unless you are 100% certain that you're going to get a yes. right? It's the same thing as a lawyer going like, oh, like he asked like the jury to be like, okay, do you think they're guilty or not guilty, without providing all the evidence, without diminishing all doubt within their minds, right? Because that's their entire goal. Their entire goal is uncovering pain and handling objections. So you got to think of it like a law, like a courthouse when you're when you're selling yourself and when you're allowing your partners to sell. So proposal development, negotiation guidelines, co-selling want to involve your sales team, want to register deals, rules of engagement, commission structure, stuff like that. So when we look at implementation methodology, project phases, time expectations, resource requirements, risk management, uh, the best practices, configuration guidelines, integration patterns, security considerations, optimization, and the standards, of course, right? And so creating all this content takes time. So a realistic timeline could just be like a 1 to 2 outline a structure, 3 to 6 create core content. Honestly, it could even be more than that. To be honest, it really depends, right? Like it depends. It could be more or less, but just a general guideline. Develop the assessments, pilot with 2 3 partners, refine based on feedback. And so, what I recommend actually to go a little deeper into this is like, okay, like you want your marketing and sales people to kind of spend like at least 2 to 3 hours a week, which is really isn't much. 2 3 hours of focus time a week. Once they get the outline and structure done to actually create the core content, um, and so it could be like a simple like Google type form, right? Like answer the questions, right? And so once they get a certain answer, right, it'll come back to them and refer them to a different link. We obviously is right on the scenarios, right? But we kind of build things a little bit differently based on where our companies are at. So when we look at delivery mechanisms, how you deliver enablement matters as much as you teach. So when you look at online learning platform, a self-serve portal where partners can actually train at their own pace can get kind of expensive, I will say. Yeah, like it requires upfront costs, but there's courses, modules, resources, knowledge checks, progress certification exams. Um, YouTube playlists could even just be a simple thing as well. Scales easily, partners learn on their schedule, trackable, measurable, cost effective at scale. However, it does require some investment upfront, and it has less completion rates. You can't really track it. Live training sessions with which I really really prefer, and I don't prefer like to talk at you for 20 different billion hours. I prefer like, okay, this is a workshop. Let's work together. Product demos, interactive workshops, Q&A sessions, group discussions, hands-on exercises, onboarding workshops, quarterly partner summits, monthly office hours, certification. I would honestly pretend just a weekly office hours. Right, if you're a partner, you have a thing like come, let's talk it out. High engagement, immediate feedback, relationship building, deeper learning. Cons doesn't scale well, scheduling challenges, high cost per partner, time intensive. Right, it takes time, but if you want to be successful, you're gonna have to put a little time into it. And you can even hire a partner person for this as well. So your team works alongside partners on actual customer projects. So how it works is the first project your team leads, partner observes. Second project, partner leads, your team supports. Third project, partner delivers independently. Right. This is just an example of a co-delivery. Um, your partners are going to learn by doing, not just watching videos, and that's the main key thing I want to showcase here. Right. Like partners need to learn by doing. Right. And honestly, it'll break their limiting belief that, because most of the time when they like, well, I don't like, this is not my product. I don't know how to sell it, so like I'm gonna refrain from it. And so the key is here, like, okay, like how can they learn how you sell it, but not only learn how you sell it, how can they sell as if they're like one of your salespeople? So fastest learning curve, highest confidence builder, immediate value to customers, lowest for partners. It is resource intensive, only works for a very small partner account. So obviously your tier, 3 type partners, um, but requires available customer projects. So mechanism for partner community, what it is, a forum or platform where partners can learn from each other. Discussion forums, best practice sharing, peer mentorship programs, partner success stories, monthly virtual meetings, and then we look at platforms, Slack channels, partner portal community forums, LinkedIn private groups, dedicated community platforms. And why it matters is partners often trust other partners more than you, right? You gotta really establish your brand name and presence. And so you can honestly do this internally as well, right? And I don't think necessarily you're going to have to go to like major community platforms where it's like uh, major community platforms where it's just like general like partnership professional stuff like that. What I mean is more so like within your sector and your vertical, like another customer, like you would like on a Reddit, right? Like you customer feedback, you kind of talk with the community. Same thing with your partner community. You got to talk with your partner community. And you can keep it internal too. And honestly, I prefer keeping it internal. If you can't keep it internal, you can honestly create really good incentivization structures and really good community to kind of get them to want to push your product because there's a sense of belonging in a group. So when we look at the actual content library, some assets, a pitch deck, one pagers, demo scripts, right, proposal templates, just some things to keep in mind, right? Again, not set in storm, obviously very dependent, but these are the most very, in my opinion, the bare minimum of partner pitch decks that you can create, like very, very simple. You can literally use Gamma dot I think IO or Dive or whatever, but like you can literally use AI software to create these pitch decks very, very fast, co-branded, where it kind of shows okay, like you put into a GPT, okay, cool, like this is how we differentiate, this is how we align with their services, okay, cool, this is how we're a value add to their service, not how their service is a value add to us, but how we're a value add to their service, right? You can be person B, they're person A, and that's okay because as long as you make money, you don't care. How are we person B? How are we supporting person A? And create materials around that. So, um, one pagers, comparisons, uh, standard demo flow, discovery questions, objection responses, and a call to action, right? And depending if you have to close demos by yourself or if they can close demos for you, you're gonna figure out by that situation. But add or remove whatever you think you need. And this is very, very important. I prefer running this in the pitch deck itself, but the case study library is very, very important. And so when we look at marketing assets, right, templates, email templates, posts, blogs, presentations, and then customer facing collateral, product sheets, solution guides, implementation checklists, best practice guides. And then we look at case studies, written case studies, video testimonials, customer logos, stats and metrics. And then we'll look at technical assets, right? Depending on how technical your thing is, but setup instructions, like they okay, like even though they went through the training, you got to create guides as if they're an internal resource. So like one of the biggest things like you'll be surprised about bigger major companies is that there's tools that you have to learn from your middle managers, but they don't actually document how to do those. Literally individual step by step, and it's one of those things where it's like you can increase efficiency significantly, and people can never get anything done wrong because you literally have boil down how to do this as if you were a 4-year-old. And I think that's kind of how you have to treat this. And it's going to be time consuming and it's going to suck, but you're going to get the most returns off of it. And especially if you're investing in something like this, you're going to want to get the most returns. So then training videos, technical resources, stuff like that. You don't need everything on day one, right? And so here's like the priority order I kind of like think about stuff. Uh, Overview decks, training videos, guides, then the partner pitch deck, and you should have a program, certification program, demo scripts, case studies, a playbook, and nice to have like the co-branded content. Like that's it's a nice to have. Let's be honest, right? Partner community, marketing automation, advanced training. Nowadays, I think marketing automation might actually maybe like a should have. To be honest, just because speed to lead being is so important. Like, but you can don't do it very, very easily, right? I know GPT just came out something like where they're replacing NEN and Zapier, but like you can do a Zapier automation where it's like, okay, like they got this lead, send this over to this person, right? The automation stuff is very, very important for speed to lead and kind of touching on the clients. So high touch enablement for strategic partners. Your top 10 to 20% of partners need different support. So when you look at the dedicated partner model, if you're hiring for a partner account manager, I know I'm talking with a company tomorrow actually who are looking to hire a partner account manager to kind of have their partnerships. And so they're working with us basically to see like, okay, how can we do it? And like, how can we scale our program? But weekly sync meetings, quarterly business reviews, custom training workshops, deal support and guidance, executive relationship management, strat planning. This is like 5 to 10 strategic partners per partner account manager. This is assuming as if you guys are more like enterprise level deal. You're going to play a little bit differently. It could be like, handling like 50 to 100 affiliates, right? Or like, handling resellers, right? Like, um, you got to play by ear. But essentially, right, the responsibilities is going to be somewhat similar. So, what it looks like in practice is a 2-hour kickoff meeting with partnership leadership, define goals, success metrics, create joint action plan, assign executive sponsors, and then there's intensive training. Right, they have their own jobs and their own income to provide, so don't assume as if they're going to go knee deep with you. Be able to make it very easy to go knee deep with you. Customer training workshops, product deep dives, code delivery on first project, weekly check-ins. Then active support, you can do weekly or bi-weekly depending on the size. Deal review and support, quarterly business reviews, ongoing enablement, and then strategic partners, monthly executive meetings, joint strat planning, co-marketing initiatives, performance optimization. Right. So the reality, it's expensive, right? Like a dedicated partner account manager costs 100 to 150K annually, and only invest in high touch for partners who actually generate significant return. So rule of thumb, if a partner can influence 500K in annual revenue, they deserve a high touch support. Simple as, right? That's literally a 5x. So with the internal enablement, which is what some people tend to forget, right? Because it's great, like, okay, yeah, all this stuff is great on the outside, but how does your internal marketing team, your legal team, your product team kind of look at different things, right? And it's one of those things where everyone's got to work together, right? They might not necessarily like in the beginning, but if it makes them more money, and you can't, I wouldn't say make more money, but like if you can have them understand how that KPI or that metric, uh, how their job relates to that metric of bringing more money into the business, then it's going to make sense, right? So how do I define partner opportunities? So it's obviously how when to involve partners, how to co-sell, deal reg, stuff like that. The customer success, when to recommend partners after they're done. If they're not done during the process, or when to recommend it. How to introduce partners, what services partners provide, how to measure partner impact. Marketing team, partner messaging positioning, co-marketing guidelines, partner content needs, event collaboration, uh, partner integration requirements, feedback loops from partners, partner-driven feature requests, API and developer needs, and then support team supporting the service license agreements, escalation procedures, any issues, knowledge base, stuff like that. So kind of what the program would look like. Um, why partnership matters, success stories, working with partners, role specific training, right? Like based on the role, monthly partner updates, quarterly partner highlights, partner Slack channels, which is very, very important, highlighting wins, and partner newsletter. Internal reality, your biggest challenge is enabling partners, is enabling your own teams to work with partners. So sales reps don't understand who don't understand partnerships will just avoid them. That's as simple as. And success managers who don't trust partners won't refer them. So marketing teams who don't know partners won't collaborate them. And the internal enablement is just as important as partner enablement, right? Like if you're a head of sales, if you're a founder, you're a CEO, you're gonna, even if you're a partnership person, you're gonna understand that, like, hey, listen, like I can shove it down their throat, but doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna have that oomph to go that extra mile, which is what you want out of any team, right? So you got to make them understand as to how it works and how to make them feel comfortable, or it's a no-brainer for them to start working on it. So track these metrics, know if enablement is working. Partners enrolled in training completion rate, certification pass rate, time to certification. Then partner certification scores, knowledge assessment scores, support ticket volume, resource utilization rates, output metrics, time to first deal, deals per partner per quarter, average deal size, customer satisfaction scores, partner retention rate. And the reality is, early on, focus on completion rates. Right, our partners finishing training. Later, focus on performance metrics. Our trained partners performing better. And then example analysis. Certified partners will close 3 times more deals than non-certified partners, obviously because they're more trained. Partners who complete advanced training have 40% higher deal sizes, right? Because they can understand the deep technical issues. And partners who attend quarterly business reviews have 2 times higher retention rates, right? Because they understand the customer outcomes and how they can continue on, like any sort of objection handling or any sort of nuance that we only direct salespeople could understand, or the CEO or founder could understand. Some mistakes we see is information overload, trying to teach everything at once, right? Start with the basics, layering complexity over time. This is a long-term partnership. And I see this too often where it's like, okay, we just fucking, sorry for swearing, but like we just freaking make them like drink from a fire hose, and it's not healthy. It's not going to work. You're not going to get dividends. A no practical application, all theory, no practice, includes hands-on exercises, real scenarios, and practice opportunities. One-on-one training, onboarding once, and then forgetting about going on enablement, right? Like continuous learning journey with regular updates and advanced training. No accountability, making training optional with no consequences, certification to benefits. Certified partners get more referrals. Ignore feedback, not adapting based on what partners say. Regular surveys, feedback loops, and program iteration. So with this checklist, right, for launching, things to look about: training modules, certification exams, playbooks, tech documentation, marketing assets, right? And then choose what learning platform you're going to choose. Content upload and organized, progress tracking, certification process, internal readiness. Internal teams are trained on working with partners. They understand the value and how their function drives that portion of the business that drives more revenue. Support process documentation, escalation paths defined, communication channels established, onboarding process defined, partner expectations set, success metrics agreed upon, kick off meetings scheduled, and then measurement metrics defined, tracking systems in place, review cadence established, reporting dashboard created. Right? So